Hi, this is Angelo Ieso. I wanted to drop you a line just to check back in with some of what's going on with me with my oligodendroglioma updates. I was inspired particularly today by an email that I received from a young man who said that some of the videos that I had sent or posted earlier on YouTube and elsewhere helped him get through some of what he's dealing with. And I'll read that email to you right now, as well as give you some updates as to what's going on with me. First of all, I was diagnosed back in September of 2013, so it's almost been 1 year since I've known that I've had this oligodendroglioma, which is a rare type of brain tumor. Mine is about a 2 golf ball size, so about 5 by 4 centimeter in my left frontal lobe, as I've mentioned previously, and just touching into my parietal lobe just behind it. So the part of my left brain that affects a lot of the motor function of my right side of my body, and fortunately that hasn't really affected me too bad recently because I'm in early stage 2, which stage 2 is the lowest stage for adults. Stage 3 would be a more rapidly advancing, and 4 is really kind of terminal towards the end of things. So as far as I know, stage 2 can last a while. The average age of diagnosis for this, which typically happens in men, is about 35 years old. So I've been dealing with this for about a year. I've had 3 MRIs, 1 biopsy early on where they actually went in and took a little piece of my brain to determine what type of tumor it was. So lots of scary information right off the bat. Went through lots of different stages of grief, fear, sadness. Now I'm pretty much fearless. I'm ready to face this whole thing and be strong. And there's days that drag, there's medical issues that arise, there's seizures that come and go that some are debilitating. I've had a seizure within the last few months that basically I blacked out and woke up with my glasses broken, my head cut, a concussion, and a puddle of blood, and didn't know who I was or where I was, and ended up spending the night in the intensive care unit when I was in Seattle. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I just received an email which I want to share quickly with you from a gentleman named Ethan W. And it says, "Hey mate, I am a 14-year-old and I was diagnosed with level 2 oligodendroglioma after a deadly epileptic seizure. And what you're going/went through is exactly what I'm going through right now. And I just want to say thank you so much for capturing the journal. In a sense of the events that occurred, seizures are happening left and right and center. I'd like to ask how things are turning out since your latest updates, and if anything is going swell. Ethan." Now, the way he spells center with the R-E, I'm guessing he's either from Canada or he's European. So Ethan, thank you so much for reaching out. It's got to be really frightening, someone like yourself at your young age as a teenager, because the average, like I said, the average age of diagnosis is mid-30s. I don't know a lot about the location of your tumor and the size of it, but hopefully, since you're so young, you can receive a type of treatment where they can do something about it. I'm not sure how I feel about radiation or chemotherapy. That seems to be the American approach to a lot of things. So perhaps you live in a place where there's other approaches, not just the standard FDA approach. That's my personal opinion. But as far as managing living with it without having the ability to operate or do anything like that, first of all, feel very thankful that you have stage 2, because that means that it could be benign. You have a lot of control. You have a lot more control over it than you think you do, and that's a good thing. At least that's how it turned out for me. You are going to have to make some drastic changes in your life, and I've made those changes I still am taking anti-epileptic medication, and I'm always titrating the meds that I'm on. If you don't know that word, you'll learn it. Titrate is kind of finding the right cocktail that works for you. I had regressive seizures, which means despite taking different types of medication, I was continuing to have seizures. So that's not a good sign necessarily. A lot of times people have epilepsy, they'll try a medication and it will work, or they'll try one and then another one and then that will work. Unfortunately for me, I've been through like 5 or 6 different types of medications. I've been on Keppra or levetiracetam the whole time. I've tried lamotrigine, I've tried Vimpat, I've tried phenytoin, also known as Dilantin. I've had some really bad side effects, and I'd say probably some of the worst side effects of all this have been emotionally, having anger control problems, having depression at times issues. Found myself just crying over things that are not really that sad, typically. So just emotional issues. But as far as the seizures go, the thing that I found that most doctors, at least here, don't address, and kind of very much frustrates me with the hospital system in this country, the medical system, is the lack of focus on diet, which I think is the most important thing to look at if you're epileptic or if you're suffering from oligodendroglioma. Diet has played a huge role in helping me to keep my seizures under control. Most recently, my neurologist told me, he says, Angelo, you're going to have seizures for the rest of your life. So, but by the same token, I've decided that I don't want to have those type of seizures that are going to be crushing, the ones that are going to make me wake up in a puddle of blood, afraid, fearful. And if they do happen, you know what? They happen, and I'm going to live through them, and I'm going to be strong, just like you are, I hope, because you sound like a tough kid. Diet, I would start by learning about different types of diets that can help minimize seizure activities. For me, it's been lowering the amount of shit that you put in your body, processed foods, packaged foods, and especially sugars, foods with gluten. I've eliminated gluten from my diet almost entirely. Like 95% of my diet is gluten-free now. I was a vegetarian beforehand, vegan, and I've decided to add fish and shellfish to my diet a little bit, which is again some of my principles, but you know what, when it comes down to having seizures left, right, and center, as you put it, you got to do what you got to do. And you want to live, I know you do, otherwise you wouldn't have been reaching out. You don't want to have these terrible seizures. So I would say check out a book that's called Grain Brain. I got a lot out of it. Do a little research about the ketogenic diet, but don't go completely all in, overboard with it, because I tried it full on, and a full on ketogenic diet can be unhealthy. You do need some sugars, you do need some natural foods, but juicing, mostly vegetable juicing, making sure you get your 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. But keeping the sugars down. There's sugars in fruit, not just in candy and white sugar. So I'll finish this up in just a moment with you. I have some at the door, but I hope that you find this interesting. Hi, hello again. Angelo here to finish up my little talk for this session about oligodendroglioma, my brain tumor, and to touch upon a little bit more of what a young gentleman who had written to me, Ethan, recently diagnosed with an oligodendroglioma brain tumor, inspired me to want to do another one of these updates. And yesterday I was in the middle of it, and my friend stopped by, and we went out to enjoy a baseball game. And so today I want to finish up by touching upon a few more points that I think could be valuable. Thanks again, Ethan, for writing. Ethan's a teenager who says he's been experiencing seizures left, right, and center, and there's a few things that may help you. And I'll offer you some ideas and some things that have helped me since being diagnosed. Now, when I first was diagnosed with an oligodendroglioma, this is a year ago, and if you've watched my past videos, this was back in September 2013. What happened to me was I woke up one morning, I felt not right, then all of a sudden I told my roommate, take me to the hospital, I know something's going wrong. So on the way to the hospital, I had two seizures. I don't remember much after being on my way, but I discovered that they were two grand mal seizures, which are called tonic-clonic, where you lose consciousness, you twitch about. I've had a few of those since then, as I've mentioned. Back in July, I had one that was pretty severe. So always trying to change up the meds that I'm on with my neurologist, working with naturopaths and other physicians. I've always been kind of skeptical of the Food and Drug Administration and physicians. I always thought that the best way to heal or deal with things is naturally. Still, Western medicine does have its place, especially when you're dealing with something that's pretty drastic, like neuroscience and the brain. So I'm not going to go completely on herbs and fruits and vegetables because I think that there is some scary components that are involved when you're dealing with the brain. However, that being said, fresh organic fruits and vegetables has been a huge part of my feeling better throughout this process. A mostly plant-based diet, which I've maintained throughout most of my life, but with that being said, also keeping the amount of gluten and carbohydrates lower. So I've lost a little bit of weight. As you can see, I'm a relatively skinny man, but I was a little bit heavier before that. I was eating a lot of fake meats and processed crap, and so stay away from the 3 Ps, packaged, processed, pre-made. I know it's a lot of work, but if you can make your own meals or know exactly where your meals are being sourced and find out that they're organic, I think that's huge. I think being mindful of what's going in and out of you at all times is very, very essential. And also keeping a diet rich in good fats. I like avocado, coconut, lots of good nuts and seeds like walnuts, macadamia nuts, pecans, you name it, even almonds. But the ones that are rich in those high fatty oils, I think those are really good for you. Every day I eat a cereal made out of gluten-free oats. I mean, oats are gluten-free, but a lot of times they're processed with other things that have gluten in them. So I try to keep my diet low gluten. I was a big beer drinker for a long time, but staying away from gluten and definitely staying away from alcohol, because alcohol acts or reacts poorly with the medication if you're on anti-epileptic meds. I'm not sure what kind of anti-epileptic meds you're on, if any, but I would imagine they've probably got you on something. Anyways, I try not to rely as much on the anti-epileptic medication and the other medications that they give you, like the benzodiazepines and stuff like that, but more the dietary stuff. Eating well. When you eat is important. Don't eat a huge meal, try to go to bed. You'll wake up having crazy dreams, maybe, if you're like me, having nocturnal seizures. So I like to have plenty of supplements with my food. So, take a vitamin B12 supplement or a B vitamin supplement. Get a juicer. Juice organic fruits and vegetables every day. Steam like kale, broccoli, cauliflower. I mean, I know for a lot of people this is a pain in the ass, but if you want to live and you want to keep going, do it. You'll feel better. Even if you're not suffering from any sort of particular ailment, you'll notice that you feel better on a daily basis. I know I do. And I think most people realize these things to be true, but a lot of people, especially Americans or Western people from the West, they're like, well, I don't have time for this shit. So why am I going to do it? I got to grab something and go. And that's why a lot of us are a bunch of fat asses, because we're more focused on our jobs, our careers, our recreational lives than we are focused on our well-being. Meditation, relaxation, unwinding, reading a good book, doing things like that, spending less time in front of a monitor like a cell phone or a television set, or loud music. Things like that can really play an important role in how we feel. And our mind is the engine to our body. And I think, and I say a lot of this for myself because a lot of this I need to be reminded of. I think that through doing all of this and pampering ourselves in ways that nature might intend versus going to stores and buying temporary happiness, I think that is a huge part of surviving and longevity. My grandmother is about to turn 100 years old, my grandmother on my mom's side, and she's always lived a simple life. She's given birth to 6 children. She has great-grandchildren and pretty soon great-great-grandchildren, and she has always maintained a simple life. There's nothing you could buy her or give her that she would want or need, because it's all right there for us. It all grows in nature, and it's the simple pleasures in life. And I think once we get back to those simple pleasures in life, that things like cancer and other maladies that we face every day will greatly become reduced, because again, the best things in life are free, just like the song says. I'm rambling.